Hey y'all, it's Bridget, the Museum Stitcher here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram, Ravelry, and Goodreads. Welcome back to my channel for a very exciting video. If you're new here, this is my little corner of the internet where I talk about my crafting life, mostly about cross stitch. Today is a super special cross stitch extravaganza. So if you like talking crafty things, or if in general you like books and stitchy things and DIYing, I hope you like, subscribe, leave me a comment, stick around, join the squad. And if you're returning, welcome back. This is a highly anticipated video every year. I love watching them, you love watching them. It is my 2023 end of year WIP parade. So if you are newer to the cross stitch community, WIP parade season usually falls at the end of the year, but there's also some people who do them in the middle of the year. And it's where we go through every single one of our active projects one by one and talk about them, maybe talk about progress since we last showed them, all those kinds of things. They're so much fun to watch. It really helps you get a sense of what kind of styles the floss tubers that you watch are interested in stitching or like to stitch. So that is the plan for today. They take a lot of work and a lot of time to produce, so I hope that you really like it. We're also going to do a little fast introduction because I know a lot of people find new floss tubers through their WIP parade, so I'll do a very fast introduction, super fast rapid fire stats for the year, and then we'll get into the stitchy goodness. So this is going to be a long one, so divide it up into two parts if you need to. Snacks, beverages, stitching. I know Michelle Bendy Stitchy usually has people post pictures and tag her in like what progress they got during their WIP parade, during her WIP parade. And so if you want to tag me and let me know how much stitching you get done while I am yapping about cross stitch, please do. My beverage of choice today, I've been obsessed with these Trader Joe's sparkling Honeycrisp apple juices. They are so good and they are non-alcoholic. I know the slim can. So let's pop the top and pop it in a can cozy because wet cans are the devil's work and we got stuff to get through. I don't have time for sweating cans. So cheers to WIP parade season. Oh, those are so good. They taste like Martinelli's, like the ones that you get in the little apple. So good. So if you have a Trader Joe's, highly recommend. Okay, so rapid fire about me before we get into things. Hi, like I said, my name is Bridget. Bridge in, like the thing you walk across with an N on the end. I have it spelled down below if you need help. But it is nice to meet you if you're new here. I am 25 years old. I've been cross stitching for about 2.5 years. I've been on FlossTube for about 1.5 years now. I absolutely love it. I love getting to talk to people about my stitching and share what I'm up to, and I really love the sense of community that I found here on YouTube. I could not be more grateful for it every day. I stitch a lot because I am single. I live in the Fort Worth, Texas area, and I have 2 cats, Fergus and Fraser. Bonus points if you catch the reference. And yeah, I love to cross stitch. I work in a museum. That's why I'm called the Museum Stitcher, because I have my degree, my master's degree in museum studies and an undergraduate degree in history. So I love all kinds of antique things. And yeah, that's where the channel name comes from. I am an old soul, that's for sure. I also love to read. I love to bake. I love to quilt. I actually was a quilter before I was a cross stitcher. That's kind of the journey that led me here. I've always been crafty growing up. I knit and then I crocheted for a while during the pandemic, and then I got into quilting, and then through quilting I found cross stitch, and cross stitch has definitely been my longest love affair in crafting so far. I love it. I love the methodology, like actually getting my hands in it, and the repetitive nature. I love the colors, the fabrics, the people. I have built some really amazing friendships through making these YouTube videos, and yeah, I'm so grateful for all of you guys. So I think that's enough about me. If any of those interests are also your interests, let me know. I usually do a little bit of a book chat at the end of my regular videos where I tell you guys about what I'm reading, and I get lots of great recommendations from you guys as well. So yeah, Texan, baking, knitting, reading, cross stitch, here I am. So this is definitely the longest WIP parade I've ever had. I think I was sitting at about 33 whips in my last whip parade. I don't know, I didn't go back and check. I probably should have. Oops. But this year I am sitting at 43 active whips at the end of 2023. I do have 2 more starts planned for the rest of this year, so technically that number would be 45, but I also have 1, maybe 2 finishes, so it should hover around the same by the actual end of 2023. Today is December 28th, I don't think I said that, of 2023, so not quite done with the year yet, but I needed to take advantage of the time that I was off work to get this done. So yeah, 43 active whips. This year I finished 18 things, 7 of which were whips in my last end of year whip parade. I UFO'd or didn't finish, chose not to finish, did dekit and not work on anymore. 7 projects, some of which I gave away, others I just dekitted. And I'm not gonna talk about those UFOs just because I don't think it's very interesting. And if you watch my last whip parades, you would know what they were. But yeah, 7 projects that I decided not to finish and started 48 things as of right now this year. I am going to get it up to 50 because round numbers. So those are my rapid fire stats for this year. Definitely the most I've started. It's also the most I've finished. So I feel pretty good about those numbers kind of correlating. Only 7 out of the 18 finishes being existing whips and not things I started this year is a little crazy to find out. But I will be doing a finish parade separately. I'll probably end up filming that next week once the actual official end of the year has happened, just in case I can get a couple more finishes in under the wire. So that's enough about me and enough about my stats for the year. You guys are here for the actual whip goodness. So let's officially get into it. Okay, so I know a lot of people do projects in different orders. I tend to like doing my projects chronologically, so that's what we're gonna do. And actually, out of my 43 active projects, only 2 of them did not get any FaceTime this year, which I think is pretty good. I'm pretty proud of that fact. I do have 1 remaining project from 2021, which was my first year as a cross stitcher. And I really hope to have this finished this year, but I didn't get to it, and that's okay. Sometimes things pop up and you don't get finishes on things, but what are you gonna do? So this is Woodland Wonder by Glendon Place. I started this Christmas Day of 2021. So it has been in my whip pile for 2 years now, and it is very, very close to a finish. This is what it looked like as of my last whip parade, my last end of year whip parade. I did a mid-year whip parade this year, but doing progress from that is a little bit more confusing for me. So we're just gonna do progress since my last end of year whip parade, and moving forward, we're just gonna be doing end of year whip parades on this channel because whip parades are a lot of work. So that being said, this is what it looks like now. So I'm stitching this on 32 count vintage country mocha linen with the called for threads, which are mostly DMC, a couple Krynics, and some beading. I am now on to just beading. So this project is very close to a finish. You can see I have finished the beading on these 2 trees. I am actively working on this one. Then I need to bead this one, and there's some beads on the border. But those snowflakes have some sparkly threads. It's just so pretty. So I have this in a ginormous Q-snap because I had planned on working on it. I may pull this out in January, I don't know. I was really confident that I was going to get this done by the end of this year, and I've just had some goals that have interrupted that, and beading also takes way longer than I thought it would, so especially with the volume I have to put on here. But this is my oldest whip. This is Woodland Wonder by Glendon Place. So I didn't quite get all of my 2021 whips finished this year, but it's fine. It's pretty to look at, so I don't mind hanging on to it for a while. Okay, that's project number 1. Moving on to projects started in 2022. I have 10 remaining projects that I started in 2022, which is my first full year as a cross stitcher. And my very first whip, this one gets a lot of praise every time I pull it out because the fabric is absolutely insane. This is At the Met by Mirabilia. I started this as my new year, new start in 2022, so January 1st. And I love it. I did get a good bit done on this, but I can't ever seem to get extreme progress on her, and I think it's just because I don't pull her out enough. But this is what she looked like as of my 2022 end of year WIP parade. I did go ham on her during the snow we got in Fort Worth. So technically ice. When we get snow in Texas, it comes down as ice and the entire world shuts down. And I had about a week off of work and I focused on this pretty intensively because when you're home and the fireplace is lit and you're just cozy and stitching and watching TV, it's the best time. And this is what she looks like now. So I know I got a good bit of her skirt done, and I think I might have done the entirety of this sash this year. I just recently finished the stitching on that, and I might have done all this internal stitching. I don't actually know. I should have probably looked before I sat down to film, but I did do a good chunk on her this year. So I don't want to like speak too harshly about what I'd like to get done, but I would like to finish her bottom half of the dress this year and maybe like get all the stitching done, at least to the point where I'm ready to bead on her would be great. So I'm stitching her with the called for threads with a 28 count even weave that I dyed myself using RIT dye. If I'm not mistaken, it was wine, cherry red, and I splotched it with a little bit of black and eggplant, and it came out to this amazing color. I was really inspired by Starless Stitchers on Instagram of her finish of this that I saw in a Facebook group, and I absolutely had to have that done on that color fabric. So that is my first and only Mirabilia, and I would really like to get her finished. You're gonna hear that a lot because I'd love to get progress on a lot of things. And yeah, I keep this one in a Mad for Plaid project bag from the Fat Quarter Shop. Which I keep all the beads and every extra threads in here, and then I keep my active threads in this, which is a Tiger Lily Designs Floss Keeper or Project Keeper. I made this one myself off of her pattern. I definitely go check out these patterns. If you can sew, you can make these. But this is the Project Keeper, so I have all of my Adam Hart thread bobbins, which look like bobbins, but they're actually floss drops. I'm a floss dropper. No shade to whatever you like to do, but when you pull these out, they are floss drops, which is really cool. I talk about them a lot, so I'm not gonna go super into detail here. But I also have a pocket where I keep my silks. That's my needle minder, which came from Mad for Minders, and then I keep the pattern in here. So I fold this up and I pull this out when I'm working on it, and then I stick it in the project bag with the project and all the extra accoutrement that a Mirabilia needs. Keeps everything together. Highly recommend the combination of the Floss Keeper and the mesh bag for large projects or projects that have a lot of extra stuff. It's great. So that's project 1. Woo! Or project 2, technically. First of 2022. Only 41 more to go. So many. Okay, next up is the Bookcase by Golly on a Cross Stitch. This is a project that I was really inspired to start after I saw Stitches by Shelby talking about it, and she was stitching it in this gorgeous rainbow conversion. She has since finished it. I'm still working on mine. I haven't gotten a whole lot done on this one, but I started it on April 24th of 2022, and I love it. I love this one. This is what it looked like in my last WIP parade. And this is what it looks like now. Whoop. I am stitching this on a 36 count Highland linen by Picture This Plus, which is this gorgeous yellowy green mottled color. The floss that I'm using for the bookcase itself is Color and Cotton Black Walnut. That's it. And I am doing like a pale southwestern color conversion for all of the books, but I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the bookcase itself first, and then I'll kind of decide color placement for all of the knickknacks and the books on the shelves. This is a big girl of a project, to quote Carrie of Tiger Lily Designs. She's a big girl, but I love it. And it's like stitching a monochromatic piece right now until I'm ready to add the color. So I am sitting at 8.8% complete, which is 2,746 stitches out of 31,252. And I think this year I may have gotten this bit done. I know I ended off here. My goal also is when I put projects away to not leave hanging threads next year because they're very annoying. So that is the bookcase. All right, next up is The Fox by Cottage Garden Samplings. This is part of her A Year in the Woods series, which is super popular and I love it. And I have a few of these started, but this is the only one I started in 2022. This is what it looked like in my last WIP parade. I started this on May 7th of 2022, and I'm sitting at about 56.1% complete. I've done a good bit on this in 2023. I believe the last time I showed it in my last WIP parade, I only had her head and I hadn't finished filling it in yet. So did most of the body, started the outline of the tail. I just have to fill in her little haunch here. And then I just have the tail and some trees and some snowflakes to finish it out. So done a lot on this year. Definitely a focus project for this upcoming winter. In January maybe I can knock out a finish on this. But I love it. It's so cute. I'm stitching this on 40 count morning mist linen by Forbidden Fiber Company with all of the called for threads. Ooh, didn't show my project bag on the last one. Project bag showing is the hardest part of a WIP parade. I made this myself with some Sharon Holland fabric. And yeah, okay. This one I keep in a Little Boat 88 project bag, which is one of my favorite project bag makers from Canada. And it's like fox themed. It's so cute. So that's where this one lives. And 56% done. Okay, I have actually started taking better notes and care of my cross stitch. So I'm actually really excited next year when I do my next WIP parade to actually be able to see numerically how much percentage I get done on projects, because I don't have that information from the last year's WIP parade. So I'm very excited about that. My next project is Mini Mystery Mandala number 3 by Chatelaine Designs. And this is what it looked like in my last WIP parade. I don't have stats as much on this one, but I stitched it on a 28 count Mushroom Lugana by Zweigart, and I started it on May 19th of 2022. And this is what it looks like now. Also did a good bit on this one. I know I pulled this out for my New Year's Eve 12 by 12 last year, where I did this black outline, and then I did a lot of this border, which has some really cool fancy stitches, specialty stitches. Chatelaines are kind of infamous for being difficult or more ambitious cross stitches. So I started with a little one just to kind of get my feet wet and see how I liked it. And I definitely love how it looks. It is insane how much this center bit sparkles in person. There's metallic threads, there's silks, there's beads, there's specialty treasures. These are pretty in-depth little cross stitches, and yeah, I'm pretty close on this one to finishing the second out of 3 parts. And then I just have to do some fill in here, and yeah. So definitely think this is a pretty achievable finish for 2024. I keep this one in another mesh bag from the Fat Quarter Shop. That's my needle minder. I tried to put all my needle minders on the project bags to show you guys, and then I just keep everything in here. And yeah. Love these bags for projects with beading and specialty things like that. Pop that back in there and pop the project on my finishes board. Finished talking about board, I should say. Next up is Memorial Day by Hands On Design. I started this on Memorial Day of 2022, which is May 30th. And this is what it looked like in my last WIP parade. I know I've also done a significant portion on this. This project is a slow project for me because I only pull it out around Memorial Day. My late grandmother was born on Memorial Day, and I started this on her first birthday after she had passed as a remembrance piece for her because she would have loved this. So I stitched this for my grandmother, and this is what it looks like now. This is on 18 count Cornflower Ada by Fiber on a Whim, and I'm sitting at 29% finished, which is about 3,419 stitches out of 11,779. So this next year, I would really love to get the other 2 flags done. We'll see. I I can typically stitch this in hand. I'm stitching it with the called for Sulky thread pack, which Sulkies are really nice because they fall somewhere in between 1 strand and 2 strands of DMC as far as coverage is concerned, but it's only 1 strand. So I love the coverage of Sulky on 18 count. I struggle with 18 count actually a lot, getting the coverage that I like, because I find 2 strands tends to be too thick and 1 strand is too thin. So the Sulky is perfect. So I know I went ahead and finished out the clothesline and all of the words this year. And I think I did some more fill in on this first flag. I am actually changing the center flag to be a Texas flag, and I think I'm going to make the third flag a women's suffrage flag, because why not? But I don't have a purple pulled for that. I don't have any purple Sulky, so I might just do the second American flag mirroring there. But definitely the center one's going to be a Texas flag, because I would probably end up gifting this to my mom because it's not really my decor aesthetic. But like I said, it was called Memorial Day. I had to start it for my grandmother because she would have loved it. So yeah, that's that one. Okay, next up is Move Forward in Love by Modern Folk Embroidery. I'm gonna kind of blow through this one, and I'm not gonna show you a progress picture because this is one of the 2 projects that did not get touched at all this year in 2023. And it's just because I was running out of time. This summer I stitched a lot and I did a lot of starts, so I didn't necessarily devote as much time to my active WIPs. But I'm stitching this on a 46 count Over the Moon linen by Color and Cotton with Forbidden Fiber Company Dark Cherry as my floss. This is what it looked like in my last WIP parade. It has not gotten any more FaceTime since, but I am sitting at 51.1% complete, or about 3,100 stitches out of 6,000. So a little bit past the halfway mark. It's so pretty though. This pattern was released for Pride in 2022, so I started it with everyone starting it then. This is the monochromatic version. There's also a full color version that has the Progress Pride flag in the center, but I love monochromatic stitching, so I ended up doing it monochromatic so that I could pull from stash, and I love how it's looking. It's so pretty, and I cannot wait to have this one finished this year. Okay, and I'm keeping that one in another Little Boat 88 project bag with these dripping roses from the Alice in Wonderland collection that it was part of. And my needle minder is from Schitt's Creek. And it says Eat Glass. And I got it from Fangirl Fibers, I think. Okay, next up is a very special stitch to me. This was the project that was my first stitch along I ever hosted. My dear, dear stitchy friend and just general friend now is Megan Babauta, the Seattle Stitcher. She's amazing. If you haven't heard from her, you probably never watched my channel before, because I talk about her all the time, because she was my first ever subscriber and she's one of my dearest friends. And she reached out to me to start a stitch along when I first started my channel. And this is my first start actually after I started my FlossTube channel. And it's Summer Quakers by Rosewood Manor. This is the Summer Quakers Sal, and a lot of people jumped in. These seasonal Quakers from Rosewood Manor are so, so beautiful, but they are so much stitching. And so I started this June 25th, 2022, and this is what it looked like in my last WIP parade. I did a lot on this year, so I'm pretty proud of showing this one. Okay, here she is. So I believe since my last WIP parade, I did all of this giant orange flower, all of these motifs down here, all of this motif here. I think I'd just done this one, and I was somewhere over here. But I'm stitching this on a 28 count coastal linen by Picture This Plus with the called for Valdani threads that are 3-ply, so it's pretty thick. But I am 40.9% finished, which is 5,624 stitches out of 13,763. And just get up close. Look at how beautiful these are. Oh my gosh. So 40% this year is not much to sneeze at. I think I was only sitting at about 28 when this year started. Don't quote me on that though. But ginormous chunk of progress. This next summer, I'd love to hit maybe the 75% mark and then finish it up next summer. I don't typically work on this out of season, which is why it doesn't get a ton of progress every year. But oh my gosh, it's beautiful. This is called for to be on a like pinky nude fabric called Truffle, which my friend Megan is stitching hers on that. I'll actually pop a picture of us together. We brought our projects to StitchCon to take pictures with them together since it was our first stitch along we ever did. And it was really fun to get to see them side by side and all of that. So very special stitch to me, and I definitely want to get some chunky progress on that this next year. Okay, next up, Rejoice Evermore by Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. This is what it looked like the last time you saw it. I've done a good chunk on this one as well this year. I love this piece. Oh, hold on. Project bag from the last one. I made this myself out of some Lori Holt stitch fabric, and my needle minder is this cactus from Mad Reminders. Okay, I'm getting back on track with these project bag showings, I promise. Okay, so this is Rejoice Evermore, and I've done a good bit on this year. I'm stitching this on a 46 count porcelain linen by Roxy Floss Co. with the Roxy Floss Co. floss conversion that Evertote put together, which is a mouthful to say, but I absolutely freaking love this project. It is a big girl. She's like 250 stitches square, but I love how small it's going to be on this 46 count linen. Like it's only going to be like, I think 10 inches square. And that's why I did like a ton of progress. I think I did like 1,500 stitches on it in just a couple days this year, but it doesn't look like a ton of space taken up. The only issue I'm having is these little bell flowers. There's stitching under there, but you can't see it. So I think I'm gonna have to swap the color that's called for there, but definitely hoping to get some good progress. I started a lot of Brenda Gervais samplers this year, and in 2022 also. And so my goal is to get some heavy Brenda Gervais progress this year. But it is absolutely beautiful. These flosses are gorgeous. This pattern is gorgeous. And I am sitting at 9.8% finished, which is about 2,200 stitches out of 22,400. Okay. Only 3 more projects from 2022. Next up is, two more projects from 2022 actually. Next up is Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. You guys, if you don't know, Liz Matthews is probably my favorite designer of all time. I am so honored that I get to call her my friend now. I've done a couple model stitches for her. I'm in progress doing one. I finished another, and I just tend to buy everything that she puts out and stitch it. So that's this one. And I started this September 8th of 2022, and I did get a chunk of progress in on this one this year as well. Here's what it looked like last time. And here's what it looks like now. I'm stitching this on a 40 count Hazelwood linen by Fiber on a Whim with the Roxy Floss Co conversion, the Evertote. I emailed them and asked them to put together a floss conversion, a floss pack for me, and they did, which is still available on their website. So if you'd like to stitch this in overdyed cottons, definitely go check out Evertote for that. But this year, so it's a little difficult to see the top of the cloche, but this year I went through and I finished out a couple more butterflies. I finished out this stem of flowers, and I did a lot of this border down here and this ginormous pumpkin. This pumpkin took forever. It is a chunky pumpkin, but tell me those flosses are not absolutely stunning. I love this project. It's a big one. I'm sitting at 35.6% finished, which is about 6,753 stitches out of 18,961. So almost 10%. But I absolutely love this stitch. It's definitely going to be a while before I get it finished, just because, again, it's a big girl. but I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. One of my favorite releases from Liz ever, which is, again, saying something because I love everything she does. Okay, and my final WIP of 2022, that is the holdover, is Christmas Garden by Blackbird Designs. I am stitching mine on with a whole color conversion. I started this on Christmas Day. No, I did not. I started this November 25th of 2022 with my friends Megan and Alexis of Alexis_My_Amazing_World. We started this together, and Alexis and I both did conversions. Megan is stitching it with the called for, so if you'd like to see a different look from this, a ton of people have stitched this pattern. I am not new to the game, but yeah, this one's special. So this is what it looks like. This is the second WIP that did not get touched at all this year. I did not pull this out this Christmas season because I was busy working on other things, but this is absolutely stunning. I'm stitching mine on a, what am I stitching this on? 36 count Assembleur linen by Color and Cotton, which was a fabric of the month color. It's this beautiful warm gingerbread. I can never get it to pull up on camera quite as well. And I am doing a full floss conversion to Color and Cotton. And so I ended up swapping out the gold for a white, and then I did a red, a green, and a brown. This pattern only has 4 colors, so it's a super easy conversion to pull together. But I'm obsessed with this. I am adding my own family's initials, obviously, but this is still sitting at 25.7%, which is 4,613 out of 17,920. Beautiful. Really sad I didn't get to touch this year, but you know, I only have so much time, especially during the holidays. Like, everyone's busy. It's hard to devote a lot of time to cross stitch, and the 2 pieces that I've been pretty much focusing on exclusively this month have taken up that time. So that is everything for my 2022 WIPs. I'm going to take a quick break to hydrate, and I also have a full Stanley of water because my vocal cords are starting to feel it, and we still have 33 projects that I started and did not finish in the year 2023. So I will be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back, and I'm ready to talk 2023 starts that I did not finish. 2023 was a year of starts for me. It was a year of starting a lot of big projects, and it makes me really excited for next year because next year I'm doing a low to no starts year where I'm giving myself 1 start every quarter, and then I have to earn my starts past that by finishing 2 or 3 projects depending on the size, and then I can only start a project of similar size to what I finished, which will be really fun. I think it's going to be a great way to actually get some dialed in progress on a lot of these giant samplers that I keep starting because I love them, but I never get to finish them. Speaking of, probably one of my wimpiest starts of the year was my New Year New Start from last year, which is the Beatrix Potter Quaker Sampler by Stitchybox Designs. I started this January 1st of this year, and you don't have a progress picture because I started it this year, so we're about to zoom through these. So I'm sitting at about 3.3% complete. This is what it looks like. Stitching this on a 40 count gray magic linen by XG Designs, which I got from my LNS, the Stitch Niche. Absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And I'm stitching it with NPI silk in an avocado green color. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I only did about 3.3%, which is about 714 stitches out of 21,700. So yikes on that, but I did only work on this for like 3 days. So, you know, compared to the amount of time I stitched on this, I did get a good chunk done. I just never pulled it back out this year, which is sad because it is beautiful. My friend Megan, the Seattle Stitcher, also started this one, and she is very far on hers. So definitely go check out her channel if you want to see better progress, but I like Quakers, okay? And I start a lot of them, and then I just never know which one to work on. And this one, unfortunately, didn't get a lot of FaceTime, but I may pull that one back out again in January. We'll see. Next up is Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs. I started this February 23rd. I'm not going to say the years anymore because they're all this year. And I love this one. I started this one as a stitch along with Sarah of Sarah Stitchy Spot and Katie, the novel stitcher who just got married. So congratulations, Katie. And I think they're both past me now. I think I am now the furthest behind. But I absolutely love this. I'm stitching this on a 40 count Nessie linen by Picture This Plus, which is this gorgeous blue color that I think makes all the colors pop so much. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And I am sitting at 20.7% finished, or about 2,785 stitches out of 13,428. So essentially I just got this top row done. But I'm gonna move on. I think there's a band here that has like a house, and then a band, there's 2 bands of lettering, and then like 1 more band of flowers. So it's a long one, but absolutely stunning. I love this project so much. I may make this a focus project for the month of February or the month of January. I'm not sure yet. My friend Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher, she is, I think, going to participate in something. I only heard from her, but I think she said Carol Saltbox Stitcher started the idea of taking a project, a sampler, and focusing on it in the month of January and trying to get it finished by the end of the month. So I may make that the project I do that for, but that means I'd have to do about 350 stitches on it a day, I think, to get it done. So we'll see. I don't know if I have the time to devote to that with other stitches that I need to get done, but I'm definitely noodling it around. So I again fell off the bag train. Look at me, I am the worst. Anyway, this one I keep in a project keeper that Carrie made. So I bought this one from Carrie. I didn't make this one. And that's my needle minder from Mad for Minders, which is gorgeous. And then the Adam Hart floss bobbins again, which are floss drops. They're not floss bobbins. And absolutely love this. I have 2 of these that Carrie made, and I covet them. They are some of my favorite project bags ever, and I need to make some more because I just love storing things in them. Okay, next up was not my birthday start. Next up is my full coverage. I have 1 full coverage. I started it on March 1st, and I don't have much done, but that's because I have to seriously revamp the way that I'm working on this. This is Minnie the Library, Max Colors by Heaven and Earth Designs, with artwork by someone else who's not Heaven and Earth Designs. This is what it looks like right now. And I got a needle minder of the exact same print, which is fun. So I get to visualize the piece as I'm working on it. I am sitting at 2.5% finished, which is about 2,254 stitches out of 88,000. So not very far at all. I was using the Royal Rose method, which has you work in columns all the way down, but you finish out a row of columns and park all your threads underneath. And so essentially you work like 1 stripe with carried threads. But I have a friend, I started this with Cam the Stitcher, Marjorie Maid, and anyway, I started with them using the same method. So you use 2 strands over 1 square on 28 count, easy grid Lugana. And unfortunately, my friends are starting to get lines ghosting on their projects from the columns, because if you don't carry your threads a certain way, you get like weird patterns showing up. I don't have any of those yet, but the idea of them popping up after a lot of work on this scares me. So I'm transitioning from the Royal Rose, which I think the entire project is going to fit in the width of my Q-snap, which is nice. But I'm going to be transitioning to working in diagonals because my friend Elizabeth, the Frizzy Lizzy Stitches, is working her full coverage that way. And she showed me how to make those settings happen in Markup. I use the app Markup-RXP to track my cross stitch as I stitch it. It's essentially like a really good digital highlighter. I don't do any of the math for my progress on my own. I let Markup do that math for me. So before you think I'm like really ambitious by counting my stitches or whatever, I just use a digital highlighter that does the counting for me. And it colors in my project as I go, which is really nice. So that's where I am on this. So I'm gonna transition and start moving in diagonals. and parking diagonally. So that's probably why I haven't pulled it out in a while. I think the last time I worked on this was over the summer, but it's because I have to wrap my head around a new parking method and a new stitching method, and that's gonna take a hot second. So that's my full coverage. I keep this one in a Denim Daisies project bag that I got from the Fat Quarter Shop. It's a ginormous mesh bag. And I keep all of my threads on, again, Adam Hart thread bobbins that are floss drops. They're not bobbins, they're floss drops. In a plastic organizer that I got off of Amazon. Everything is labeled. I also keep my scissors in here. But this is every floss needed, labeled for this one. It's a lot. It's 124 colors, I think, needed for this project, but keeps it all together. And this bag holds the Q-snap with the project loaded exactly where I need to work on it, and my bobbin box, which is great, all in one place. So that is the full coverage. That's why you haven't seen it in a while. I did make plans with my girlfriends who I started this project with for the hashtag Rip My Whip Sal, which was started by my friend Marjorie, to work on this once a month, and immediately fell off of that. So it took a while to figure out like what direction I was going to be moving with this one and all of that jazz. Okay, so after that, we move along to my birthday start. So my birthday is March 13th, and I turned 25, and I celebrated with a new start because why not, right? So I started Night Walk Down by the Blue Flower on March 13th, and I love this piece. It's absolutely stunning. It's one of my favorite cross stitches ever, and I have not worked on this enough, but I am stitching it on a 40 count elegant linen by Fortnite Fabrics, which is this gorgeous purpley gray, and this is where I'm at. I'm stitching it with the Called For Gentle Arts, and I'm at 9.2% finished, which is about 1,600 stitches out of 17,000. So not very much. I've only stitched on this for a few days. I think the last time I touched this was in March, but I really need to pull it back out. I am obsessed with it. It's so beautiful. And that's the beauty of a low starts year, is that I actually get to touch things like this that have a pitiful start on them. But I keep this one in another Little Boat 88 project bag that has lions on it because it reminds me of my grandpa. His last name is Lion, and he loves lion stuff. So I bought this because it reminded me of him. And I'll actually show you the floss ring for this one because I've got it easy access. But keep these on Frosted Thread Hearts from Adam Hart, and it's a beautiful color palette. I'm obsessed with this piece. My needle minder is also from Mad for Minders. It's a girl with like a library in her brain, which is me because I read a lot as well. So that's my birthday start. Okay, moving on. Next project is a really fun one. This is Real Comfort by Modern Folk Embroidery. I started this on April 5th. And I started this with some of my friends because we were all copying a genius color combination that my friend Cam the Stitcher came up with. And it is a pink on pink. She's stitching her Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler in that same colorway. And I had to copy her, but I've loved this chart. And I thought, you know what, Jane Austen, she would love pink. So this is a Jane Austen inspired sampler from Modern Folk Embroidery. And I'm stitching it on 40 count peony linen by Fiber on a Whim with Dinky Dye's pink tourmaline silk floss. This year I've done a good chunk on this. I think I only had like 200 stitches in my mid-year WIP parade, and I'm sitting at, what am I sitting at now? 18.2%, which is 1,500 stitches out of 8,400. So I just need to finish out this little thing and do the quote. And then I'm gonna do this little village down here. I think for the sampler alphabet that's underneath this piece, I'm only gonna do the capital letters and then cut it off. So it might actually end up being less stitching, but that's the progress so far. This pink on pink conversion, my friend Maddie is using it in something else. Marjorie is using it in a different Modern Folk Embroidery piece. It's been really fun to see a lot of people do tonal stitching. tonal monochromatic stitching, especially in these like fun hot pink colors. It's going to be absolutely stunning when it's all done. I love this piece. And it should be a relatively fast finish because stitching on it, I only worked on it for like 2 days and I got like 1,200 stitches done on it. So pretty good progress. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, sorry, an online grocery order arrived somewhere in the middle of me talking, so I'm gonna try and pick up where I left off, but life still goes on when you cross stitch and you have to film, so. Okay, also, any slurring in speech, please take with a grain of salt. I've already been talking for 40 minutes of raw footage, and we're not halfway done yet, so I may slur my words a little bit. It's just kind of the name of the game. So I just finished talking about Real Comfort, which is my pink on pink piece. I keep this in a really adorable butterflies project bag that I also got from Little Boat 88. My needle minder is a Pride and Prejudice book cover I got from TopKnot Stitcher, which is one of my favorite cross stitch shops to support. Definitely, if you have not heard of Abby or her shop, go check it out because she's amazing. So let me move my cat off of my WIP pile. Fergus, the one-eyed wonder, say hello to the public. If you're meeting Fergus for the first time, he only has one eyeball. He was born that way, and he is the best. Okay, cat confusion aside, the next project is the Rose Quaker Sampler by Weinberg Online. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous Quaker sampler, but I am doing a full color conversion on it. I will pop a picture of what my intended color conversion looks like. It's very bright and colorful, but every color has a meaning because I changed all the colors in this piece to be inspired by the colors of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. I'm also a huge Swiftie, so deal with it. I saw the Eras Tour this year, and afterwards I basically did a lot of Taylor Swift coding things in my life, and one of them was this cross stitch. So this is what it looks like right now. I have done some Red, some Fearless, Reputation, and Midnights. I'm stitching this on a 46 count Renaissance linen by Color and Cotton. Again, with that color conversion, it's all DMC. Okay, before we were so rudely interrupted, yeah, those are the colors that I have done. It's just a DMC conversion. I have shared in previous videos what specific DMCs I'm using, but I will attempt to make an Instagram post about it. I had to redo my color for Speak Now because Speak Now Taylor's version is very different from the original, and we support the Taylor's versions in this household. So I don't have a huge start on this. Progress-wise, I'm sitting at about 3.6% finished. Just under 1,000 stitches out of 27,500. So not a lot. This is a big project. It looks very tiny on the 46 count though. I only worked a couple days on this, however, so you know, it is what it is. What? Okay, I keep this one in a mini project bag from Jasmine Custom Bags, which is my other favorite Canadian project bag maker. Her bags are amazing. This was my second of the mini bags, and I actually love these more than the original size, the big size, and definitely want to get more of these. But she had this Taylor Swift fabric that was too good not to get, so that's what I got here. And this needle minder is a pin from Magical by Marissa that I turned into a needle minder, which is Taylor in the acoustic set. So that's my Taylor Swift project. Super in love with that one. But all of my friends, Cam, Marjorie, and Megan, they are the OGs who you'll hear me talk about a lot, along with Elizabeth and Maddie, and they're all just amazing. They are all stitching it in variations on the called for colors. Megan's doing called for colors, and Cam and Marjorie are doing color conversions, but they are closer to the called for color palette. I am kind of the wacky color one in this one because I'm the only Swiftie of the group. Of that small group. Anyway, okay, next project, Gentle Rain by the Blue Flower. I've loved this piece. I had planned to start this piece in April this year, and I did it. Started this on April 23rd, and I'm stitching this one. Well, I kind of jumped in with Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher. She had No, Caitlin of Cross Stitch Kate was stitching this. I saw it on her channel, absolutely loved it, had to stitch it. Lauren, the new Hampshire Stitcher, also wanted to stitch this. So Lauren and I started it together. Caitlin had already had it for an existing WIP for a while. Caitlin finished hers, it's beautiful, but Lauren and I are still working on it. So we kind of like started a sal, but Caitlin had already had it as a WIP before we started it. So it's a little confusing, but both of their projects are also really lovely. I keep this one in a project bag that my friend Alexis made for me. And this is what this one looks like, if I can move the cat off of it. This is on a 40 count truffle linen by Picture This Plus with the call for threads, which are mostly DMC with a couple of classic colorworks. And I absolutely love this. I am sitting at 21.1% finished, which is about 2,144 stitches out of 10,153. So I did get a significant chunk done on this. I just need to finish out this tree and this little flower pot, and then do the giant fountain, and then the tree on the other side. And the words, obviously. So still a good chunk to do on this one, but I absolutely love it. Picking fabric for this one was really hard though, so that is definitely the hardest part about doing this stitch, but it's beautiful. And definitely go check out Caitlin's channel for her finish of it, because I absolutely am obsessed with how it looks. Okay, moving into May. So in May of last year, I started a stitch along with a bunch of my girlfriends, same ones I always talk about, called the Manning May Sal, which is where we picked a Carolyn Manning project to start in the month of May. And I did a good chunk of progress on mine this year, but it is a big girl, so I don't have a ton done. I'm sitting at about 7.1% finished, which is about 1,700 stitches out of 25,200. And I started this on May 1st. This is Bountiful Blooms. Oh, did I not show you the cover? This is Bountiful Blooms by Carolyn Manning. I am stitching it with the called for DMC on a 16 count French Country Aida by Witchelt. It's nice, simple Aida stitch, 2/2 with DMC. This is what it looks like. I don't have a ton done. I know I really should be farther on this, but I love that this looks like an English paper pieced quilt. Again, I am a quilter, and I just love that some of her pieces look like quilts, and I had to. This sal was super, super popular. A lot of you joined in. It was so much fun to get to see the hashtag, see what everyone chose to work on, and just send some love Carolyn Manning's way, because she designs some really beautiful color palettes and patterns. I have a whole bunch. We're definitely going to be doing the sal again next year, so I need to at least hit the 25% mark before I start another one. But since I started a really big one this year, I think next year for Manning May, I'll start a small one. Like, she has some really gorgeous little tiny ones that I probably could have stitched and finished in a year, but this big one is just too gorgeous. I absolutely had to. So I think I already said the stats on where I am. I keep this one in a project bag from Forbidden Fiber Company. I love their small fabric bags. I got this in the Bookish box in March, which is, the book is always better, and it's just a really cute little cloth bag. And my needle minder, it says, "I'm not a craft hoarder, I'm the curator of an extensive craft supply collection." And since I work in a museum, it was too fitting. And I think I got it from TopKnot Stitcher. Again, she makes great needle minders. Okay, next up is my StitchCon start. So 2023 was also the first year I ever was able to attend a Stitchy retreat, which was super exciting. My first retreat ever. I got to hang out with amazing friends and meet so many of you and so many other floss tubers that I really admire, and that inspired me in my own channel and making my own channel and being brave enough to do this, because talking to a camera in the middle of your living room floor is kind of weird. But I had so much fun. And Abby TopKnot organized a stitch along for A Wavy Ride by Blackbird Designs, because it just came back into print after a while of being out of print, which was super exciting. So I snatched it up and I started it on June 10th at StitchCon with everyone. It was so much fun. A bunch of people had already had it as a WIP that they bought before it was discontinued. So it was really fun to get to see where everyone was at, and we took a big giant group picture with all of our projects, and it was so much fun. So I am stitching mine on a 40 count outrageous linen by Fortnite Fabrics, which I bought at StitchCon because I had packed a different fabric to start this on and I ended up not liking it. So I'm really happy I was able to find something I love for it. And I'm stitching it with the Vicki Clayton Silk Pack, which is HDF Silks. I absolutely am obsessed with her silks. They are super affordable. They're so soft. They're so shiny and easy to work with. And I just love it. So this is where I'm sitting at. I got a good chunk of this done this year. I'm sitting at 23.3%, almost a quarter of the way, which is about 2,354 stitches out of 10,104. Oh, I love it. And the Vicki Clayton Silk Pack, these two border colors in the called for are very close together, so you have a hard time seeing the difference. In the Vicki Clayton Silk Pack, the colors are super different and highly variegated, and it gives the border just such a cool effect because it swaps what color is the vine and what color is the little buds. I hope you can see that, like here to here, it's different. I just love this piece. I think it's so much fun to stitch, and I love that I got to start it with some really awesome people. So I keep that one in a project bag that I also got at StitchCon, which comes from the Painted Leaf Company, which Sarah of previously of Stitchy Friends, I don't have her new channel name down pat yet, but she started her own channel after some scheduling conflicts, and definitely go check her out. It's not... I don't know the name, I'll try and put it here, but Sarah is awesome. She's such a kind human. I got to meet her at StitchCon, and her mom makes these project bags, and my friend Megan got a matching one because how freaking adorable is this corduroy fabric? It's so pretty. So I have my pattern, and I have a little charm that someone was handing out. This is Weekend A 2023, and I will be at StitchCon Weekend A again this year. So hope to see you there. I keep my silks on Adam Heart Thread Hearts, and I got some StitchCon jewelry someone was handing out. And yeah, these are just absolutely gorgeous. I love this pattern. I'm so happy that they put some patterns back into rotation that had been out of print because new stitchers deserve to get to stitch things too, you know? Okay, next up is a stitch along that I did with my friend Maddie of Kitty Stitch on Instagram. And Maddie is one of the people that I met at StitchCon. We finally got to meet in person. We had been texting on Instagram for a while, and she's just such a cool human. She's getting married next month, and I'm super excited to get to see her again at StitchCon next year. But we started Forget Me Not by Liz Matthews because we both had it kitted up for Maddie's birthday on June 25th. I think I started it the day before on June 24th, but cheated a little bit, got ahead of myself. But I love this piece. Forget Me Not, I think I said that already. I can't remember, it's so much talking. But I love this piece. I only worked on it for like 2 or 3 days though, so not a ton of progress. But I'm stitching mine on a 40 count flannel flower linen by Fox and Rabbit with the Vicki Clayton Silk Pack. So just have a small start. I'm only sitting at 10% finished, 762 stitches out of 7,591. Maddie is leagues ahead of me, but Maddie is a monochromatic stitcher, monogamous stitcher, so she tends to work on only a couple projects at a time, mostly one. And I think she was trying to get it done to display at her wedding, so she was on a stricter timeline than me, but hers looks absolutely beautiful. And mine is nowhere near as close to done as hers, but I love this piece. I definitely want to get some more done on it this year. And the project bag I'm keeping this one in is also another one from Forbidden Fiber Company. This was their Tree of Life bag that was from the Discovery of Witches kit, which was an awesome kit they did. I think it was in 2022. Absolutely loved it. And the needle minder is an Outlander inspired needle minder that says, "Sing me a song of a lass that is gone," and it actually has Forget-Me-Nots, because that's the flower Claire is picking when she time travels in Outlander, which is one of my favorite shows. Both my cats are named after Outlander. Big Outlander fan. But keep that in there. And then the silks are beautiful. I actually keep these on floss drops that Maddie made and handed out at StitchCon. So they're my Maddie floss drops on a project we started for her birthday. But these silks are beautiful. And I love how portable this project is. Okay, so there's that one. Next up is a stitch along that was started by Shiloh of X Stitch MD and Lindsay of Cat Fur and Cross Stitch, I think, started this one together. I could be wrong. But this is Every Opening Flower by Brenda Gervais with Eye Needle and Thread. Again, like I said, I started a lot of Brenda Gervais patterns, and I just am so attracted to her big giant samplers, and I love that they're like mostly square. Makes them really easy to frame later, especially if you go ahead and do the math and figure out what count of fabric will fit in what frames. So I did a couple days on this, but I got a lot of progress done, and I'm really proud of where I'm at on this one. And this is what it looks like. I'm stitching this on a 36 count ballet slippers, linen by Fox and Rabbit, which is this gorgeous like nude pink, kind of a sandy undertone. It's very hard to get it to show on camera correctly, but I love this piece. I'm also stitching this one with a Vicky Clayton silk pack. I went kind of ham for Vicky Clayton silks this summer, and I'm not going to apologize for it because they're amazing and I love them. And especially with these giant Brenda Gervais samplers, she calls for a lot of threads from a lot of different dyers. And so it was easy to just kind of consolidate and get one giant silk pack with a bunch of colors. So I am in this house here. I just need to finish filling in the blue color and I'm done with the house. I haven't decided if I'm going to try and work across and do this giant floral motif here, or if I'm going to work up and over and then down and finish out with that big motif. But I thought knocking out the house with a lot of fill-in would be a smart idea to start off the piece. So this one I'm sitting at 13.5% finish, about 2,000 stitches out of 14,883. Not bad. Not bad at all. I love this. And again, nice square piece of linen. This one was really fun to do on a 36. I think I've got a Brenda Gervais sampler started on every count of fabric. Like every count of linen I enjoy working on, which would be 36, 40, and 46. I don't typically work on 32 unless I have to for beading reasons. Or they were projects I started before I started working, before I figured out what counts of fabric I love. Because I think it's fun to experiment and try new things. I keep this in a project bag I got from Evertote, and my needle minder is a little carnation pin that I picked up from the Hadestown musical that came through Bass Hall in Fort Worth. My brother and I went to see it together on the day that I started this piece, and I turned the enamel pin that I bought at the gift shop, or the little merch stand, into a needle minder to put on the project I started that same day. So that's really special and super fun. Next up is a pitiful start. And I so apologize to Caitlin of Cross Stitch Kate for what I'm about to show, but I started 'Tis the Season by Blackbird Designs. This is a adorable pattern that is actually found in the Home for the Holidays book, and I am stitching Christmas Garden out of that book. And when Caitlin asked if I wanted to start this with her for Christmas in July, I said yes. And then I immediately got distracted working on other things. So I only worked on it for a day, and I have the saddest start because I had a huge migraine the day I started this. But Caitlin's is gorgeous. We're both doing floss conversions. This is what mine looks like. I'm stitching it on a 40 count Billie Jean linen by Roxy Floss Co. with my own color conversion to Forbidden Fiber Co. threads, because I have quite a good stash of Forbidden Fiber threads. I only have 263 stitches out of 5,665, which is about 4.6% finished. It is pitiful and sad. And I was really excited to get to see how my like brighter color conversion came together for this. And I just never got back to it. And this Christmas season, I've been so focused on some Liz Matthews Christmas charts I've been trying to finish. I keep this one in a buffalo plaid project bag that I made myself, which is not the best project bag ever, with this adorable little red truck with a Christmas tree needle minder that I got a long time ago from the Fat Quarter Shop. This is what my threads look like though. So while I can't show you like a more put together view of how my conversion is looking, these are my threads. Essentially, you need 3 greens, a white, a brown, a gray, black, and a gold, and a red. So that's my floss ring. It's really pretty, and I wanted to stitch on this more this Christmas, but I didn't get to it. So hopefully that'll be a pretty fast, easy, fun stitch to maybe work on for Christmas in July stitching this year. We'll see. Okay, next up is a super fun stitch that I started with Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher. And this is the Garden Sampler by Cottage Garden Samplings. I'm keeping this one in a project bag from Little Boat 88 that's made out of some Vera Bradley fabric, which is really fun and pretty. And I'm doing a Roxy Flossco conversion that Lauren had them put together. It is so many colors. And part of the benefit of this one is that not every color is used a bunch. So I'm actually going to get a lot of stash colors from Roxy Flossco to put back into my stash to use, which is super exciting because I love building my stash. But this is what I got done on this year. Put a good bit of effort onto this. I'm stitching one on a 20 count Peridot Ada by Fiber on a Whim, which is this gorgeous bright light green with those Roxy Flossco colors. I am sitting at about 13.5% finished, or about 1,500 stitches out of 11,500. And I got F for fern. There's a frog up here, I think, that I didn't quite get to. E for eggplant, S for the sun, because I center started. This is a long guy. And then G for grasshopper. So it's an alphabet sampler. It's so, so cute. And I cannot wait to have this done. I don't have a lot of summer themed stitches, but this one is just so like, it's whimsical without being not my style of whimsical, if that makes sense. Hard to describe, but that's the progress. I love the colors. I love working on this. And 20 count Ada, one strand over one square, such a dream to work with. It goes so quickly. And it's so nice to have an Ada project for when you just don't want the effort of counting 2 over 2. Highly recommend at least keeping 1 or 2 Ada stitches on hand if you're someone who can handle multiple projects. Next up, we are entering the home stretch here. We are now probably past when I filmed my mid-year WIP parade. I don't fully know, but I think so. Okay, so this is the Mill House by Kathy Barrick. And no, this is not the Mill House. Mill House comes later. Next up is At Home by Brenda Gervais, another giant ass Brenda Gervais sampler that I could not resist. Elizabeth Ann Stitch was starting a style for this one and I liked it, so I started it. And I only worked for like half a day on it, and it is a sad, sad start. But you know what? It's still beautiful. Here it is. Where's my stitching, you may ask? In this bottom corner. I'll show you in a second. This piece of fabric is a 36 count linen by Zweigart that I dyed myself, which came out beautiful. I am so obsessed with this fabric. I dyed a whole half yard of it because this is a ginormous sampler, and I had to dye a big ass cut of fabric to get it to fit. But this is my sad, sad little start on At Home. I only have 1.3% finished, or 274 stitches out of 20,600. So really, really sad little start. I'm also doing Vicki Clayton Silks. I tend to buy Vicki Clayton Silks, especially for my Brenda Gervais samplers. Like I said a little bit earlier, they just are worth it to me for this, and they're beautiful. So that's this one. This one does have a good chunk of over 1 stitching in this top corner. But yeah, that's At Home. I definitely want to make it so that that is not a sad start next year. Yeah, because that brick house just, oh, it's such a good sampler, and everyone is so much further on it than I am, and I just have to catch up. So there's that. Started that on July 22nd. Next up is a project I don't actually have to physically show you. One second, let me show you my project bag for At Home. Little Boat 88 project bag with these gorgeous vintage birds. That's part of the chart. Don't look at that. And my needle minder for this one is an Outlander needle minder from Magic Minders. I don't actually have the next project to show you because it's a round robin. This is Quaker Gardens by Hello from Liz Matthews. I will kind of pop up as I talk the pictures of what I've done on this, but essentially some of my closest stitchy girlfriends and I decided to do a round robin project where essentially we picked a piece and we picked our own colors for it, and we passed along our colors, and everyone stitches a chunk of the piece on your fabric. So by the time your project comes back to you, all of your friends have put in stitches into your project, and you get to have this really cool keepsake of a piece that has really special memories. And so I did this with Cam the Stitcher, Marjorie Maid, Megan the Seattle Stitcher, Maddie of Kitty Stitch, Elizabeth the Frizzy Lizzie Stitches, and Alexis of Alexis _ My Amazing World. Whew, it's always so much effort to say all of the names. But we decided to do Quaker Gardens by Hello from Liz Matthews because one of the girls pointed out that there are 7 flowers on this piece, 7 Quaker flowers, and there's 7 of us. So we're each stitching a flower. I came up with a rotation schedule and a plan of attack for how many stitches we do each month and like how much someone would do on other people's pieces. So I have stitched on my piece, which I'm stitching with a 36 count Bramble Linen by Picture This Plus and Color and Cotton Patchwork as the floss, which is this purpley gray. It reads kind of monotone even though the fabric isn't necessarily purple. It's very pretty. So I did my section, which is the top border and the first flower. Elizabeth came up with placements for initials so that we would all stitch our initials next to the flower we stitched, which is super fun. We're all doing it monochromatic, so everyone's using our floss choice the entire time, except for Marjorie. And for Marjorie's project, she stitched the border in a different color, and everyone is stitching the flower that they do in their floss color. So hers will be lots of different colors. So many things to say. So collectively, the projects that I've stitched, I stitched on mine, I stitched on Megan's, I stitched on Elizabeth's, and I stitched on Alexis's, and I stitched on Maddie's. So that's everything I've done has collectively added up to be about 50% of the way through. But like I said, I don't have anything to physically show you because I already mailed off the last batch to Marjorie, and I'm waiting on Cam's project from Alexis. So it has been a roller coaster of scheduling to try and get everyone rotating and talking about it and keeping up with who has what and who's done what. And it's just, it's also really fun, and it's going to be so special when it comes back and I get to finish out my project. So that's the round robin, and I love it. I am so obsessed with that piece. Every time I work on it, it's just so easy. It goes by so fast, and my friends have picked some really beautiful color combinations. It's been a fun way to try new to me floss dyers and fabric dyers that I hadn't worked with before. And yeah, just really special to get to give a little bit of my stitching to my friends that way. Okay, next up, finally is the next project bag in the lineup. This is The Mill House by Kathy Barrick. Now this piece, I saw it and I had one thought immediately very fast, and that was Outlander. Again, like I said, I'm a big Outlander fan. I'm keeping this one in an Outlander themed project bag with an Outlander book stack needle minder. But you'd be like, why is this an Outlander piece, Bridget? It's an owl and like a mill house, and it's an antique sampler. Like, what makes you think Outlander? There is a scene in season 1 of Outlander, and I won't give any heavy spoilers, but essentially Jamie is fixing a wheel on a mill house, and there's some British soldiers and some espionage that has to happen, and Jamie loses his clothing in a very cold river. And if you're an Outlander fan, you know the scene. Anyway, this mill house made me think of that. And so I'm going to be modifying some of the motifs on this sampler to be Lallybroch. And so I'm calling it my Lallybroch sampler. I'm going to change the words at the bottom to say Lallybroch, the mill house in Lallybroch, or Broch Turek. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, it's going to be an Outlander sampler. I'm going to change the stork to be a giant thistle, but I haven't done any of that yet. So I am stitching it on a 40 count Not Another Sampler Verdal, which is an even weave from Be Stitch Me with the called for DMC. And I might have to add some more DMC. I don't have a huge bit. I worked on this for 2 episodes of Outlander this season, and I have until the next season comes out to get my changes planned and kind of move forward. But I have done about 4.7%, which is 654 stitches out of 14,000. And I mean, the last 2 episodes of the season were pretty action-packed. I wasn't getting a lot of stitching done because I kept looking up to, you know, watch the TV. So not a huge chunk, but I did get that cute little owl in. And I love him so much. So that's my Lallybroch sampler. So hopefully, Kathy Barrick, I don't offend you by doing some changes to that pattern, but I don't fully like, I've done some recharting in my day, and I have really only done minor changes or quote changes. I haven't ever actually like charted something like from like my mind going, I want a giant thistle that's long, and actually making it into cross stitch. So I'm going to be stretching myself a little bit, trying to chart. Every time I've tried to design in the past, it has not worked, and it ends in me being really angry and frustrated and kind of losing my stitching bug for a little bit. So I'm intrigued to see where I get with that, but you guys have thrown out some really awesome suggestions of changing one of the moths into a dragonfly. So I need to figure out like spatially how that changes things in that little corner with the moths. And I'm gonna add Jamie's shirt to the wheel that's like hanging off, so I need to chart that out and maybe change some of the fish. I don't know, but that is the Outlander sampler that I have in mind. Okay, next up in the summer, I started that July 30th of 2023. And the next one I started July 31st. So this is Jack's Bash by Plum Street Samplers. Stitching this and keeping this in a Little Boat 88 project bag again. And my needle minder is from Mad for Minders. It's got a cat on it because cats. This was an impulse start because I saw Katie of So Tattered and Olivia Pumpkin Hollow Quilts working on this, and I loved it. My friend Megan had just gotten it as a gift and she was starting it too, and so I figured why not start it with my friends and with people that I love watching. So I am stitching mine on a 36 count millstone linen by LFA Linens. This is my first time trying LFA Linens. Beautiful fabric, stitches like butter. It's so great, and I did a lot on this year. I just couldn't put it down. The 1/2 on the 36 count just goes so easy. And there's some 1/1 that I got done. I put together my own color conversion with the help of my LNS because they didn't have a lot of the same colors. And like I said, it was an impulse start, so I didn't really have time to order online. So I know for a fact the gray to brown variegated is Saloon from Color and Cotton. That wasn't a change I did after the fact, and I love it. But I am sitting on this one at 35% finished, or about 4,000 stitches out of 11,500. So not bad at all. I'm obsessed with it. I did change this one, so I'll pop up a picture here of what this is going to look like, because essentially I just didn't love the people on this one. Not the ones at the bottom, but the ones in the center just weren't necessarily my style. So I altered the borders to remove that middle panel. And yeah, so that's like my fucked up version of Jack's Bash, but I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to get more into that next fall. Next up was a restart of a project I started back in May. So I started it in May, didn't like my fabric, it wasn't working, so I decided to restart it in August. This is the Vanity Sampler by Hello from Liz Matthews. This piece, absolutely freaking gorgeous. And my friend Cam the Stitcher, put together the most delicious gothic pink color conversion for this, and I had to stitch it. I had to. So this is the bag I'm keeping it in. It's a Teresa Kogut project bag from Creative Carol Designs, which I love the vinyl front panel. I will actually show you the flosses for this one because they deserve to be seen. They are all DMC, so it's a super affordable conversion too. But look at these colors. They're just so moody with the teal and the grays and the hot pink and the eggplanty lavender rose colors, and just absolutely freaking beautiful. I am obsessed with it. And so I needed to find a fabric that worked, and I did when I was at StitchCon. So this is where I'm at on this. Hoorah. This is on 40 count spilled coffee linen by Extra Designs, which is freaking cool. It's like the most splattery project. So this is what I've gotten done. I started on this moth. I did a center start just because I wanted to make sure my margins were okay. And I am sitting at 4.9% complete, or about 1,000 stitches out of 22,400. I am dividing this out into 12 sections, and in 2024, I need to stitch about 1,700 stitches a month. I might actually try for 1,800 just to give myself a little bit of a wiggle room. 1,800 stitches a month to finish it in 2024. So that is my goal on this piece, because it is a ginormous sampler, but it's so beautiful. So definitely go check out Cam's channel to get that conversion. If you message her, she will happily provide it. She may have it posted on her Instagram somewhere, so go check that first before you reach out and ask. But so pretty. I love that piece so much, and I can't wait to have it finished at the end of 2024. Okay, next up, I started on September 1st for the hashtag Back to School sale that my friend Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher, was starting. In the Butterfly's Garden by 1897 Schoolhouse Samplers, I saw this piece as a model stitch at the attic in Arizona, and I had to have it. And luckily, it's pretty big. It's like 322 by 200 something. And so I figured it would be a great start for the Back to School sale. It's all in DMC, so it's really affordable to kit up as a big girl, and I love it. This is what I've gotten to on this ginormous piece of fabric. This is a 36 count limited edition linen that I got at the Color and Cotton store in St. Louis when I was there in August. Beautiful, like creamy white color, and that's what I've gotten done. So a chunk of the border here, and then a start on these ginormous cursive letters that are so pretty. But I actually did the math on this one, and I'm doing it on a 36 count. Means it's going to fit in a 16 by 20 standard frame. And so I always do the math on my projects to see if I can frame them in standard sizes by doing them on different counts before I have to resort to custom framing. So that's an exciting one. I love this so much. It's so beautiful. And I've been obsessed with this project ever since I saw the model. When you see the cover, it doesn't look like anything super exciting, but it is an Italian reproduction sampler, and there's not too many of those, so that's fun. And it's just, the colors are so vibrant and so pretty. Highly recommend going to see the model of that if you can. Next up is the Pink Sparrow sampler. This is a sal that I did with Caitlin of Cross Stitch Kate and Lindsay of Cat Fur and Cross Stitch. We started this in September 9th of this year. And this is by Brenda Gervais. So pretty. I'm stitching this on a 36 count Winter Moon linen by Zweigart with my own complete color conversion to Color and Cotton threads. No, partial color conversion. I was able to get my hands on a lot of the called for, but not all of them. So I had to kind of improvise to get this started, and I did a lot on this. I'm sitting at 37.4% finished, and that's about 2,800 stitches out of 7,500. So this could be a pretty easy finish next year. I absolutely love how bright and springy it is. It's so beautiful. So let me show you what the project bag I've been keeping that one in looks like. It's this gorgeous teacups bag from Little Boat 88 again. And my floss ring is on Cosmic Pink Thread Hearts by Adam Hart Cross Stitch, my favorite thread hearts. That is my color conversion. This is actually the purple that I'm using on my round robin piece, but I kept one skein to work on Marjorie's project and to keep in this one. So really pretty colors, very bright, very springy, and definitely recommend the Pink Sparrow sampler. Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher, also finished this, and her finish of it is really gorgeous, so also love it for that reason. Okay, next up is another project that I don't actually have in hand to show you. I started this one on September 11th of 2023. And this is one that I bought at market because it was just too beautiful not to start immediately. This is the Pumpkin House by Hello from Liz Matthews. And the reason that I don't have this one to show you is because it's technically partially finished. So you can see from the cover image of this one that this piece is stitched on 2 different colors of fabric. So you stitch the top half on a blue fabric and the bottom half on a cream. You can stitch the whole thing on one, but I just love the look of the 2-toned fabrics, and I'm really excited to try the finishing technique of getting to seam them together at the end. So that's that. I stitched the bottom half. I'll show you a picture of the finish because it's in my project roll. I don't want to go get it. But I stitched it on a 36 count cream and sugar linen by Fiber on a Whim with the Forbidden Fiber co-conversion that my friend Carrie of Tiger Lily Designs put together. Which, are these not like the most gorgeous bright colors? They're so pretty. So good job, Carrie. You put together some really beautiful colors. And the top half I will be stitching on this cut of Topaz by Fiber on a Whim as well, also a 36 count. I wanted to make sure I got 2 fabrics of the same count from the same dyer to make sure that the tension was gonna be fine for finishing. I just haven't started the second half yet, so I don't have any like progress to share. I just finished the first half this year. So I keep this one in another small project bag from Jasmine Custom Bags, which is this really cool tooled leather, black leather with these pumpkins. Pumpkin house. Absolutely love that piece. I am sitting at 34.3% finished, which is about 3,000 stitches out of 9,400. Not bad for about a third of the way through to finish the bottom half. So this next upcoming fall, I will definitely get started on that house and stitch the top half. And hopefully maybe get that as a finish this year. I just love this piece so much. By far my favorite release from her this year. All right, next up is Practical Magic by the Primitive Hair. I started this one on September 16th with my friend Megan. We both had this kitted up ever since Market of 2022 when this pattern came out, and we finally started it together this year. And unfortunately, I didn't actually ever end up watching Practical Magic. My plan was to watch the movie when I started this, but I didn't get the chance to. But I am stitching this exactly as called for on the 30 count Old Salem linen by the Primitive Hair. Thank you, Megan. She sent it to me. And all the called for DMC. There are 2 Gentle Arts flosses, so I did grab those as well, but I don't think I've used them yet. Anyway, I am about 20.5% finished, about 1,600 stitches out of 8,200, but not too shabby for a start. I was actually enjoying this because I was able to stitch some of it in hand, like these long candlesticks or the letter M, and then I did part of it in a hoop. But I love how vintage it looks. I love the Practical Magic reference. This chart is just so pretty. And it's another fun friendship piece with Megan because I can never have too many of those, honestly. The next project I'm going to talk about is one that I'm so excited about. It's one of my favorite projects ever. It was a unicorn chart of mine, and a dear friend lent me her copy to stitch this with, and I am so grateful. I don't know if I can say her name because I don't want her to get bombarded with comments of people asking to borrow the chart from her, but just know that this isn't my chart, so I cannot give it away or let anyone borrow it after I'm done stitching it. I'm sending it back to her. So this is Sally Spencer by Birds of a Feather. This is a discontinued out of print chart that is so gorgeous. Elizabeth Ann stitched it, and also Laura and the New Hampshire Stitcher stitched it. Both of their finishes are gorgeous. I love this. I don't have a huge start on it though because I started it amongst starting a lot of other fall things. So I definitely want to get back to this. I may end up making this a focus project in January. I'm not sure which sampler I'm going to try and finish in the month of January, but this is a contender. I have only done 5.5% on this, or about 345 stitches out of 6,330. I'm stitching mine on a 40 count Duxbury linen by Fox and Rabbit, which is this gorgeous mid-toned brown with like a little bit of modeling, a little bit of movement. With the Vicki Clayton Silk Pack. This only has 6 colors, so definitely recommend the Vicki Clayton Silk Pack for this if you want to try out Vicki Clayton Silks without buying a bunch of them. I love it so much. I am so grateful to the person who's letting me borrow this, even though I don't have that big start. I just love it. I think I'm kind of drawing it out I'm really excited to put my name in at the bottom, and it's so pretty. This chart is so pretty. I love it so much. Okay, I'm keeping that one in a Tula Pink Sewing Machines bag from Little Boat 88 there's the flosses right there and the chart. And my needle minder is an Outlander needle minder, not the Meek and Obedient type. Okay, next up, also in a not very exciting project bag, is All Are Equal in Death by Modern Folk Embroidery. I was influenced to start this one with my friends Cam and Marjorie. After Marjorie saw someone finish this monochromatic piece with 4 colors. Her name is Timber Sips on Instagram. Her finish is absolutely freaking stunning. So I copied her, or copied the spirit of her in some ways. And I did a lot on this year, but this is what mine looks like. I'm stitching this on 40 count Catacombs linen by Bestitch Me, which is the most cool blue-gray with green and red modeling. And I've done about 46% complete, 2,300 stitches out of 5,124. I'm not stitching the square border around it. So essentially this is 4 colors: the white of the skeleton, the brown of the coffin, the gray, which is $37.99 of the words. And then for all the leaves, she used a variegated DMC and fussy cut it so that the inside was white and it got darker as it branched out from the coffin. So I just have the fussy cutting stitching to do left. But I absolutely love this piece. I think it's so cool and sophisticated. So if you like more sophisticated Halloween that tends to be monochromatic, definitely go check out Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery. His Dark Crosses series is like kind of spookier charts, but I love them. They're so pretty. And this linen from Bestitch Me really is something else. Her Halloween colors are just so good. Next up is another stitch along I did with Marjorie and Cam. This is the Little Brown Bat by Cottage Garden Samplings. This is another one from the Year in the Woods series that I am doing the fox from. But this is more of like the fall version, if that makes sense. So this is one of the fall patterns, Little Brown Bat. I'm stitching mine on a 40 count Legacy linen by Picture This Plus with all the called for threads, which are DMC and like a couple fancy flosses. So like the body of the bat is in a fancy floss, so you can see the movement and the variegation in the floss there. I don't have a huge start on this. I only worked for a few days on it. I'm at about 12.1% complete, or 802 stitches out of 6,620 stitches. Not a huge start, but absolutely love him. And he shares a project bag with another chart that I'll talk about in just a second. Okay, next up is another spooky stitch. Nope, not a spooky stitch. This is my model stitch for Liz Matthews, my active model stitch, I should say. This is a Buzz at Midnight. I am trying to finish this one first week of January, and I am on track-ish, I think. Definitely gonna have to do a lot of stitching, but a lot of stitching on this project is not a problem because it is beautiful. This is a Patreon exclusive chart for right now. It came out last year, and it's going to be released to the general public this year, this upcoming year in 2024. So I am stitching the model for that release, and it's very exciting, and I love stitching models this way because I still get to talk to you guys about my progress. It's not a super secret chart, which is really, really nice. So this is beautiful. This is on a 36 count linen from Fiber on a Whim. That's also an upcoming release. I can't share the name of it yet, but keep your eye out because it's beautiful. With the called for NPI silks. No changes, but I have been working on this floral stock here. I took a break Christmas week just because I've been not stitching very much this week. And so I'm going to be getting back to this probably tomorrow and stitching on it until I get it finished. I'll be a little bit monogamous for a while on this guy, but I am sitting at about 45% complete, sorry. About 4,000 stitches out of the 8,800 and so almost to the halfway point. But honestly, what took the most time was this full coverage B-skep here. And now that I'm done with that, I'm kind of flying a lot faster than I was. So I'm not worried about getting progress on this. This is the only project that I'm stitching 36 count 2/2. The 2/2 is slowing me down a little bit, but now that I'm not doing as full coverage of sections, I like the look a lot more. I'm just really used to my stitches, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm really used to my stitches laying kind of perfectly. And with 2/2 on 36, it's just a little tight to get them to lay completely flat. But now that I've kind of ironed over them and done a little bit of effort, they look fine. I just want them to be perfect because I love Liz and I want to give her my best work ever. But I absolutely love this model stitch. Cannot wait to whip this one out and get it finished in the upcoming couple weeks. So get that to her so she can start photographing it and everything. I started that on October 21st. Next up is a stitch along I'm doing with Lauren, the new Hampshire Stitcher. You'll hear a lot of the same names over and over again because I really have found a community of stitchers that I vibe with and I love them, and they also make floss tubes, and so I like to talk about them a lot and do things with them. This is Dark Golden Delicious by the Artsy Housewife. This is a release this year that is absolutely beautiful. The Artsy Housewife, I feel like, really took off this year. She's got a bunch of designs. I bought like 4 or 5 of them. I love them all, but this is the only one I've started so far. This also has a lighter version, but Lauren and I are both stitching the dark version. She actually ended up getting a floss pack from Roxy Floss Co., which is beautiful. I didn't end up doing that. I'm doing just the called for flosses on the called for fabric, actually, because I actually had it in stash, which is crazy. But I started this October 25th with Lauren. I only worked on it for 1 day, and I have the most pitiful start in the world. I only have 2.7% finished, or 364 stitches out of about 13,500. So not very much at all. I'm sorry, Lauren, but this fabric is absolutely insane. It is so cool. This is 40 count barnwood, I think. Did I say that already? It's what's called for. I didn't necessarily want to do a 40 count on something so dark, but it is a lot easier to stitch on than I thought it would be. So much so that I actually used the other chunk of this linen to start something else that I'm about to show you. Okay, so more barnwood. This is Boo Spook Haunt by Hello from Liz Matthews. Oh, here's what the cover, like the model on the cover looks like. This was also a Patreon exclusive chart this year. So if you were not part of her Patreon in October, you don't have access to this yet, but Liz usually releases her Patreon charts about a year after they come out on Patreon. So keep your eye out. You'll definitely have access to this soon in the next couple of years. But I'm doing a color conversion for this. I'll pop up a picture of what my color conversion is going to look like. It's all DMC. If you'd like a full list of those DMC, go check out my Instagram. I have it listed there. I don't have a lot of backup to show you what the color conversion is looking like as I stitch it, but it is just DMC. Essentially, I changed the colors of the flowers, and that's it, just to be pink, orange, and purple instead of the red, gold, and blue that they were in the called for, just to make them a little bit more my Halloween aesthetic. I love pink Halloween and like vibrant Halloween. So I got a small like 2-day start on this, not very much at all, just started this first ghost. I outlined him and I'm filling him in. So I'm only sitting at about 11.3% finished, 583 stitches out of 5,146. Just a little start on that center ghost. I think I'm going to turn this into a drum. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. We'll see next Halloween when I pull this one back out. Okay, then I started an heirloom piece. I am so excited about this one. This has been a focus piece this month for me. And this is the Days of Christmas series by Hello from Liz Matthews, particularly the first day of Christmas. I started this originally back in December of 2021. So 2 years ago, I got my first start on this project, but I was stitching it 1/1 on 32 count. And while I think I could see myself doing that now for a small piece, doing 12 samplers on one piece of fabric together on the 1/1, it wasn't working for me. I needed that over 2 stability. My stitches kept slipping and I just was kind of struggling with it. And I didn't necessarily want to commit to doing 12 full samplers that way. So I decided to put it away and restart it. And I finally got around to doing that this year. I did the math and I figured out that if I stitch one sampler every 2 months with a couple months of breathing room to like add 3 into the rotation, I should be able to finish this series by the end of 2025 and have this piece done. So Liz is currently releasing these. I think she just released day 9. And if I follow her release schedule correctly, I think she should be done releasing these patterns in 2025. And so I'll be kind of following along with that. So I had to start it in November to keep that schedule. And I started this one in November, and I worked a lot on this since my last floss tube. So it's got a lot of progress, but I'm now stitching this on 46 count Cream and Sugar by Fiber on a Whim. This is where I am on the first day. I am sitting at 78.7% complete, which is about 5,563 stitches out of 7,062. I just have one more pair. It's a partridge in a pear tree. I have all nine samplers that have been released. Now Liz does have on her blog, she has a grid for you to stitch these all as one piece, but you have to, it's just like a grid. It doesn't have the individualized borders because each one of these pieces has a different border. And so I really love these borders. I think it gives the piece a lot of character. And so I wanted to add them, more stitching for me. I am gonna be doing 4 across and 3 down, and it comes out to almost square. So my first sampler had to be done by the end of this month, and it is the 28th, and I only have about 1,200 stitches left. So I'm on track. I think, honestly, if I sat down this evening and really pumped it out, I think I could get this done tomorrow. So wish me luck. We're gonna see if I can get it done, and then I will start the second day in January and continue it on this ginormous piece of 46 count linen. But I love this series. I've loved the series since I was a newbie cross stitcher, and I've always wanted to have this on one piece. And I'm finally making that dream a reality. My friend Cam is doing this with me, and so is Megan, but she's not keeping on as strict of a schedule because she has kids, and kids mean less stitchy time. So Cam is doing it with me, but she is not stitching all of the samplers. She's stitching all the trees, and she's doing them all on different fabrics, and it looks so cool. So definitely follow Cam if you want to see like a different twist on it. I'm now kind of regretting, I wish I would have done the trees a little bit, but I'm also really happy with the idea of everything on one piece. I think it's gonna be really cool when it's all done. But I did a tree finish for the first time at the beginning of December, and it was really easy, and so now I'm like, oh, I guess I could have done trees and kind of made it like a little village of days of Christmas trees, and then it would be a lot less stitching every month. Because unfortunately, it's a lot more stitching to get the samplers done than the trees, because double border. Anyway, moving on. We have 4 more projects left, and then I will finally leave you alone. I have no idea of how long this video is going to be. I've been interrupted a bunch of times. And next up is the Woodpecker by Cottage Garden Samplings, also part of the Year in the Woods series. I started this with my friend Marjorie and Caitlin of Cross Stitch Kate on Caitlin's birthday, which is November 9th. Or I may have not started it on her birthday. I can't remember if I started it on her birthday or around her birthday. But essentially, I love this piece. My grandfather has a cabin in Arizona, and there's always woodpeckers up there, so it kind of reminds me of him. And yeah, I have a small start on this, only 10% finished, 700 stitches out of about 7,243. Not too bad though. Also stitching this with all the called for threads on 40 count Legacy. I can't remember if I said the count of the fabric or not. This is a Project Bag Buddy with the Little Brown Bat because they do share quite a few flosses. Not as many as I had hoped, but yeah, absolutely love this guy too. All right, only a couple more projects, just 3 more, and we're done. Next up is a small that I started around Thanksgiving. This is Giving Thanks by Little House Needleworks. I've had this kitted for forever, and I finally decided to start it, and this is what it looks like. I'm stitching mine on a 36 count ballet slippers scrap that's left over from Every Opening Flower by With My Needle and Thread. I actually was able to use up a scrap, which was great, on this 36 count, and I'm stitching it with the called for threads, which are Classic Colorworks that I've had in stash for forever. And I've gotten about 501 stitches done on this. There's only 1,900 stitches in total. It's a very small little piece. I was hoping to have it done this Thanksgiving season, but I got distracted kind of focusing on my biscornu and my tree for the jingle ball, so it didn't get done. But I think this would be nice to pull out when I'm craving like a quick finish, and I think I could get this done in like 2 days. So not worried about it at all. I definitely love that piece. I don't have that in a fancy project bag or anything. Okay, and then next up, Sarah Moon 1791. I am stitching this with my close girlfriends, Megan, Cam, and Marjorie. And this is our full moon stitch. So we've decided that for 2024, we're gonna pull this out on the full moon of every month and work on it together because Sarah Moon. And it is a giant Quaker sampler. This is what mine looks like. I'm stitching it on a 40 count dirt track linen by Fox and Rabbit, which is arguably one of the coolest fabrics ever. So beautiful. And I'm stitching it with the Vicki Clayton silk pack that is very close to the called for colors. Megan is stitching it on the same fabric with the same flosses because Vicki Clayton was kind enough to send us the floss packs to use and promote on our channels, which is gorgeous. And Marjorie and Cam are stitching it with Cam's conversion, which is like this whimsy goth conversion. It's very cool. Definitely go check out her channel if you want like a really cool twist on this piece. I don't have a huge start on it. I only worked on it for like a day, maybe 2 days. But I only have 1% finished, about 263 stitches out of 26,800. So just a top center start on this gray motif there. And my final project for this 2023 WIP parade is Song of the Nightingale by Modern Folk Embroidery. I'm stitching this on 36 count heirloom lace linen by Color and Cotton. I started this when my friends started their Modern Folk Embroidery sales for the 2024 year because the 2024 sale is absolutely beautiful. But instead of starting that project, I wanted to start a project that I have wanted to start from Modern Folk Embroidery for a really long time. And so that's why I pulled this one out. I'm doing a color conversion to pinks and oranges instead of blues and yellows. And this is what it looks like. I have done 4.4% or about 1,000 stitches. I am actually going to be stitching this with Paper Crane Stitches, who I was talking to on the day this was released. She may be restarting it, may not be. But essentially, there's 24,000 stitches, 24,007 stitches in this project. So if I do 2,000 stitches a month, I'll have this done at the end of the year. So we're going to try and do that together. I've already done 1,000 stitches, so January Bridget only has to do 1,000, which is nice. But I was actually able to stitch most of this in hand because it's just like a lot of lines. But I know that won't always be the case for this, but at least like chunks of border I can start to do. This is very long, but not super tall. So yeah, I will pop a picture of what my conversion is going to look like fully finished. I love it. It's the 2 shades of pink and the gold are both DMCs. I think I mentioned them in my last full floss tube if you want to go see those. If not, I'm sure I'll talk about it in the upcoming year. They're really, really pretty. Just 3 DMCs. I know one of them is 782, that's the gold, but whew, that is everything. That is all of my active projects. Like I said, there's gonna be 2 more starts for the rest of this year, but obviously those aren't gonna get a ton of progress before the start of 2024, so I'm not super worried about it. But I had to hit that even 50 mark because why not, right? So quick word on plans and then I'll get out of here. Nothing too crazy, but I do have my monthly goals on Song of the Nightingale, Vanity Sampler, and the Days of Christmas series. So those are the 3 overarching goals I'm going to try and hit every month. All in total, those end up being about 5,000 stitches every month. And then the rest of the time I will have to devote to progress on existing WIPs. Like I said, low to no starts, so going to try and get a lot of progress and kind of slate everything in seasonally based on when I started it or when I want to work on it. The other thing is I'm going to be starting WIP Go for the first time. I tried to do WIP Go when I first started my FlossTube channel, but I didn't have enough information on how I was as a stitcher to really be successful at it. So I'm thinking this year I'm going to put all of my non-seasonal samplers, like my big girls, and make it a big girl WIP Go and do my big projects and just try and get some good progress on those. I may alternate my goals to be numerical or by motif. We'll see. So I'm excited about that. There's going to be a finish parade coming from me, like I said at the beginning of this video. And secondly, I am aware that it is very privileged to have this many cross-stitch projects on the go. I am so thankful to this community for supporting me and what I stitch. Please refrain from leaving mean-spirited comments about numbers of WIPs. The number of WIPs that you have does not make you a good person or not, and just because I like to have a lot going doesn't mean that I am chaotic, or doesn't mean that I don't devote time to my craft. I do get a lot of progress in, even though I do start a lot of things. And whether you have 1 WIP, 10 WIPs, 60 WIPs, 200 WIPs, you are correct. And that's all that matters. So please, no ogling or I just can't believe someone could have that many WIPs in my channel, in my comments, because I'll delete it because it's my channel. And I don't want to hear it because I get enough of that every video anyway. But whatever number of WIPs works for you, and I'm happy for you. This works for me. I like to start a lot of things. Just because I'm whipping down next year doesn't mean that I don't support people who have a lot of WIPs. It's just that I tend to start a lot of these big projects that I want to get progress on. And I always seem to start and finish smaller things, and I'd like to actually finish some big things. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing in the next year. I also want to bring my cross-stitch spending down a little bit, and since I have so many projects started, I'm gonna focus on those. And I'm really excited about my New Year's plans. Doing Pick-a-Whip that my friend Marjorie started, and WIP Go, and progress pieces, and these big monthly goals for these large pieces that I'd like to finish by the end of the year. I'm really excited about it, and so I'd love to hear if you guys have any really cool plans for the next year. If you're going to be doing New Year's Eve 12 by 12, I'm very excited to see everyone's pictures from that. I am looking forward to starting a project and working monogamously on it for those 12 hours, seeing how far I can get on one piece. I'm really excited about 2024 stitching goals. I had a lot of stitchy firsts in 2023, and I'm looking forward to what this community is going to bring to me in the new year. So I hope that you all had an amazing holiday season, or if you're watching this in not a holiday season, I hope you had a great regular day. And I will see you in the new year with regular progress updates. Again, if you made it this far, go ahead and leave me a Christmas tree emoji if you can find one, or a star, because whew, this is a lot of work, and I wouldn't do it if you guys weren't so amazing and I didn't love talking to you guys for several hours. For reference, I started talking to this camera at 1 p.m. and it is currently 3:30. So it's been a while. My voice hurts. I hurt. I can't sit on the floor anymore. But I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, that you will like and subscribe and comment and say hi. If you're new, say hi especially. And I will see you guys again in the new year with my regular content, and I hope that you guys like it. I need a drink and to not talk for a while, but I love you guys so much. I hope that you have the most amazing 2024, and I'm so excited to get to watch WIP parades now that I've knocked mine out. And I'm gonna go take some progress photos and start working on editing this bad boy, because it's gonna be a lot. But I love you guys. I will talk to you in the new year. Happy New Year! I did make plans with my girlfriends to stitch on that 1 day a month. Oh no. I did make plans to work on that project once a month. Whew. Can you guys tell I've been talking for a while? Oh my gosh. Gotta get back to that. But again, it was figuring out, oh my gosh, can I just not be a hot mess on the internet? But he keeps trying to lay on my design board with all of my projects on it, which is not helpful, bud. And I have normally there's not this much chaos when I film either. It's just that I'm filming for such a long period of time that shenanigans ensue. Oh, I forgot to show you. No, I have not forgotten to show you that. I haven't showed it to you yet. Oh my gosh, Bridget, get your shit together. Okay. How the hell am I ever gonna get this edited? 4 threads,
Good afternoon, Bridget, from 123stitch.com. Stitched over 2 threads on 40 count linen of your choice, the finished piece will measure approximately 16 inches by 17 inches.